did just there. He presented a very clear-eyed view of the problem, and it's a pretty heavy problem, deep problem, as Maximo described it. And then he transitioned into, but this is what we need to do. This is how we fix this. This is how we get to a solution, all in the same presentation. Maximo, thank you. Money is a big deal. It is, how do you fund this? If you have a bold ambition, the SDGs are a bold ambition anyway, but zero hunger in the next 10 years, who pays for it? How do we pay for it? This is what has been exercising the brains of the Ceres2030 team. In a moment, you will hear from Ms. Jaron Porciello, but first, let's take a look at Ceres2030 and what they've been doing. So this goes straight to Jaron, it doesn't come back to me.
Hello, my name is Jaron Porciello, and I'm here on behalf of Ceres2030 Sustainable Solutions to End Hunger. We're a team of 3 partners, the International Food Policy Research Institute, Cornell University, where I'm based, and the International Institute for Sustainable Development. It is an honor to be here today, and thank you for the invitation. And congratulations to our colleagues at the GAFSP on their launch, partnering to transform food systems globally. Ceres2030 is a research project designed to support the United Nations 2030 Agenda, in particular, SDG 2. We focused on 2 questions. First, what are the most effective ways to end hunger, increase the incomes of poor farmers, and protect the climate? And second, what would it cost? The project involved a global network of 84 researchers from 25 countries who reviewed more than 100,000 articles and ran hundreds of thousands of equations to answer these 2 questions. We were guided by a board of 20 leading food and science agricultural experts, and we partnered with the scientific journal Nature Research. Yesterday, Nature published our collection, Sustainable Solutions to End Hunger, which has 10 open access articles describing effective interventions to improve the livelihoods of small-scale producers. These findings are specific and they are concrete. We also developed an artificial intelligence model to analyze 500,000 articles from the past 20 years of agricultural development, and then we worked with 8 teams of researchers to synthesize all of that evidence and turn them into publishable, actionable evidence. We integrated all of those findings into a sophisticated economic model to estimate the costs. We grouped these findings into a portfolio of interventions that constantly interact and reinforce each other. First, we looked at interventions on the farm that directly improve productivity and incomes. Second, we looked at investments to improve storage and services that farmers need to move food to markets. And third, the research was unanimous that if we want any of this to work, that we need to empower the excluded by ensuring that every person has a right to education, a decent livelihood, and a political voice. We had an important wake-up call when we looked at all these findings together. No matter the intervention that we chose, they were most effective for people who already had some basic access to capital. And this means all capital. social capital, like networks and being members of farmers' organizations, human capital, like education and vocational training, and financial capital, access to credit, access to insurance. A minimum threshold matters, because only then do investments work to their full capacity. And so now the big question, what will it cost? We found that donors need to give an extra $14 billion per year from now until 2030. What this means is that donors need to double their current spending on food security and nutrition. And the governments of low and middle income countries also need to make contributions. They need to provide an additional $19 billion per year by mobilizing domestic resources. This is a fraction of the amount of money being spent in response to COVID-19, but the gains will be tremendous. It would remove almost 500 million people from the daily experience of hunger and double the incomes of 545 million small-scale producers. Importantly, it would also generate an additional $52 billion in private investment per year in the agriculture and food sectors. Thank you for letting us be with you today, and congratulations to our colleagues on their launch. We look forward to the conversation. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Jaron. Thank you very much. Also, this is a conversation amongst all of us. So if you're on Twitter, invest from fork to farm. That is the Twitter hashtag. If you're on our platforms, then you can just jump into the comment section, jump into the Q&A section. I've seen one or two questions already that I'm going to bring to the panel. But again, if you've got thoughts about the presentations that you're seeing, you want to be part of it, are we missing something? How do we transform food systems by partnering and collaboration in time for 2030? How do we do that? Your suggestions, very welcome. Your examples, very, very welcome. This idea of partnering, collaboration, for many organizations, it is very, very challenging. How do you get the best out of both organizations or multiple organizations, the culture amongst those organizations? That is where our next presenter comes in, talking about the how, talking about the value of presentations.